If you truly believe that you can achieve something, then you're going to take positive action to work towards it. But if deep down you don't believe it's possible and you're like, yeah, I really don't think so. It's like, I'd like for it to happen, but I really don't think it's going to happen. Almost like buying a lottery ticket. It's like, yeah, I'd like to win the lottery, but I really don't think it's going to happen. If you have that kind of attitude, then your chances of actually succeeding are like slim to none.
Welcome to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Podcast with Lee Hayward and Jeff Samataro. Since 1997, Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding has been online helping guys to build muscle, lose fat, and become the best version of themselves. The goal of this podcast is to provide you with real-world practical fitness and nutrition advice to look your best, improve your health, and feel confident in your own skin so you can live life to the fullest without having your body holding you back from doing the things you want to do. So if you're ready to get started, let's jump into the show.
It is your muscle building coach, Lee Hayward, and in today's video, I want to discuss the topic of belief. Meaning, do you believe that you can achieve your fitness and fat loss goals? Do you honestly believe in the pit of your gut that it is possible for you to build a body that you can be confident with, to achieve whatever strength and athletic performance goals you have set out for yourself? Like, do you really believe that it's possible for you? And this belief is like an underlining factor that will determine whether or not you succeed or fail with reaching those goals. Because if you truly believe that you can achieve something, then you're going to take positive action to work towards it. But if deep down you don't believe it's possible and you're like, yeah, I really don't think so. It's like, I'd like for it to happen, but I really don't think it's going to happen. Almost like buying a lottery ticket. It's like, yeah, I'd like to win the lottery, but I really don't think it's going to happen. If you have that kind of attitude, then your chances of actually succeeding are like slim to none. And this is huge. This goes way beyond all the stuff that everyone focuses on, like, oh, what's the best macro split? What's the best workout routine? What's the best exercises? And blah, blah, blah. And should you do this and that and the other thing and the supplements? And like everyone focuses on the tactics and the how-to, but all that stuff doesn't matter if you don't believe deep down that you can actually achieve success. And I was actually having this conversation with one of my coaching students, Steven, and this was what he brought up. When we were having our call, he was like talking about, yes, he understands the philosophy behind the program. He understands how it works. He understands how certain people follow the program and get great results. But he doesn't believe it for himself because he's tried and failed so often that he doesn't believe it's possible for him. Like, he sees the success stories of other people. Like, for example, like he's seen my transformation. He even commented, like it's respectable and admirable and everything else. You went through the transformation, like made a comeback in the Masters over 40 bodybuilding just recently and all that kind of stuff. And he admires it. And he sees the success of our other coaching students who've gone through the program, sees the before and after transformations and respects what they've achieved, but doesn't believe that he can achieve it. And that's what's limiting his success, is because he doesn't believe it internally. This is a really big hurdle that you have to overcome. And there's no cut and dried answer for it. Like, I wish there was like a one step, like, hey, do this, done, check, right? Problem solved. But it goes much deeper than that. And I want to kind of just discuss it in this video and to kind of give you some strategies and solutions and some action steps that you can take towards increasing your belief in yourself. Because again, ultimately, this is going to determine whether or not you succeed in reaching your fitness goals, is that internal belief. For someone who's achieved success in the past, it's so much easier to achieve success again in the future. Because you've already done it once. You have that internal belief that, what, I did it before, I know I can do it again. But if you've never done it before, it's hard to have that belief. Like, if you were in shape before and then you got off track and got out of shape, it's a lot easier to get back in shape the second time around. Now, there's a couple reasons for this, because when it comes to fitness, it is easier to rebuild lost muscle tissue and to regain fitness to a previous level that you have achieved in the past. We refer to this as muscle memory. But there's also a physical memory, meaning you've done it before and you have that confidence and that belief that it can be done again. And if you've never had that success to begin with, it's hard to develop that belief that you can do it, right? You know other people can do it. Like, you go on Google, you look at fitness influencers, and you see all these before and after transformation success stories. I mean, heck, I got a bunch of them up on my website. You know, people have gone through the whole Muscle After 40 blueprint program. I've done some video interviews with people. So, I mean, like, these are real people. It's not some Photoshop BS crap. Like, these are real people who've went from, you know, before, out of shape, unhealthy, unhappy with how they look and feel, to people who've made sustainable, real-world transformations through good old-fashioned hard work and persistence, right? Real-world transformations. And, you know, you can look at those and be inspired by it, but there might be still that level of self-doubt in the pit of your gut saying, well, okay, they did it, but what about me, right? Like, how it was easy for them because of whatever, right? You make up any excuse you want. Oh, it's easy for them because of blah, 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 right? But what about me? What about my situation? Like, I'm unique. I can't do it for me. And I'm here to tell you, regardless of your situation, improvement is always possible. And more often than not, there's probably been people out there in worse situations than you, meaning probably worse situations in terms of their environment and their situation, maybe even their finances or whatever, who still made it work regardless, right? We see this all the time, like people who can see the glass as half full instead of half empty and always look for the positive in the situation, and they make it work regardless, right? We always know people like that. We've seen this over and over again, and of course they make great before and after success stories when you hear this. So you need to kind of adopt that mindset for yourself. And one of the things that I would encourage you to focus on if you're really struggling with this is let go of the goal. Let go of whatever goal it is that you're trying to achieve. Like, let's just say with fitness, you want to be a certain body weight, you want to have ripped six-pack abs, and you visualize yourself, you know, at the beach or at the pool, or maybe doing a bodybuilding or fitness model competition or something like that. You have this big grand vision of where you would like to be someday. And there's nothing wrong with having that vision, but sometimes that vision can be too far in the future and it distracts you and discourages you from where you are right now. And instead of thinking of that, focus on the action steps that will lead you towards that vision. And it's like the analogy of a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I mean, if you keep looking at the 1,000 miles and then where you are, right? So, I mean, let's just say you take that first step and then you're like, oh my God, I still got 1,000 miles to go minus one step. I'll never get there. And then you take a couple more steps and then you're like, oh shit, I still got 1,000 miles to go minus 3 steps. I'll never get there. And it's discouraging and it distracts you from actually taking those next action steps. But if you forget about the 1,000 miles and just focus on the next step and the next step and the next step, and just day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, however long this is going to take. I mean, it's not some, one and done, get shredded in 30 days, set it and forget it type of BS program. Like, getting in shape takes time. And to kind of prove my point, think of anybody that you admire in terms of fitness and athletics or whatever, like the social media fitness influencers that you're following on Instagram or on YouTube or Facebook or wherever. Look at how long they've been at it for. Like, chances are they didn't go from 0 to hero in 30 days or a 6-week shred or a 90-day transformation or something like that. Chances are they've been doing it for 10 years or more. Even the young guys, even those 20-something-year-olds that you see on Instagram taking their duck face selfies in the gym, right? Like, a lot of these guys started working out in their early teens. So by the time they're in their mid-20s, they still got 10 solid years of training under their belt. So it takes time. You need to look at the bigger picture and not getting distracted by, oh, I've been working out for 2 weeks, I'm not there yet. Oh, I've been working out for 6 weeks or 90 days or whatever, I'm not there yet. Think bigger. Think much, much bigger. And focus on making this part of your lifestyle something that you do day in, day out, week in, week out, over the long term. And slowly but surely, you will start making those bits of progress that will lead you towards the goal. And again, it's just like that analogy, right? The journey of 1,000 miles. Forget the 1,000 miles and just focus on the next step and the next one and keep taking the next step. And if you focus on that, eventually you will get there. Now, I'm going to tell you right up front, chances are it's going to take you a lot longer than you initially think. And there's going to be struggles and challenges and obstacles come up that you probably don't even know of right now. And this is actually a good thing in a way, because if we knew all the obstacles, challenges, and struggles that we'd have to overcome to get to our goal, we probably wouldn't even start to begin with. Anytime you talk to someone successful, like say like a successful business person or whatever, you say like, if you knew all the challenges that were required to build a business, would you have started in the first place? Some of them probably say, you know what, I was second guessing it whether I actually would have or not if I knew all the obstacles that were going to come my way. So sometimes having that naivety where you don't know what's going to happen is actually to your advantage, because it gets you taking action and it doesn't bog you down with overthinking. And this is sometimes why young people can be more successful than older people. It's not that they have some sort of magical advantage. It's sometimes that they're naive and they don't know all the obstacles and all the challenges that can come their way. So they don't overthink it. They just start taking action. And they take action and they get results, and they take action and they get results. And I mean, that's sometimes the advantage to being young and naive, is because you don't overthink the process. And when I'm looking back at my own past, especially when it comes to like bodybuilding and athletics and stuff, I was that way, right? I was naive, I was young and dumb, and I took action and I got results. Now, granted, along the way, there was challenges and stuff came up that I wasn't aware of, but I worked through those challenges as they came. I didn't let those future challenges and obstacles derail me from the get-go, right? I just took it day by day and focus on making that next step, and keep making progress. So some real-world action steps for you. I want you to, instead of focusing on the end goal, like the ripped six-pack abs or stepping on the bodybuilding stage or whatever the goal that you have for yourself, just focus on breaking everything down into daily action steps. Like, what are you going to eat for your next meal? Right? Don't even think about like, oh, what's my ideal macro split and what's this and that and blah, blah, blah. Like your very next meal. Focus on making the best choices possible for that next meal. Like break it down ridiculously small. So simple things, like make sure to get a serving of lean protein with that meal. Make sure to get some good vegetables with that meal. Make sure that you're drinking adequate water throughout the day so that you remain hydrated. Make sure that you're getting adequate sleep, getting to bed at a decent hour. Like all these little things add up. When it comes to your exercise, make sure to get some form of daily exercise. Like get off your ass and move every day. Like that's one of my non-negotiable habits that I've developed for myself, is like every day I have to do something. I have to exercise every day, no matter what. Now, that may be going to the gym for a workout. That may be going outside for a bicycle ride. That may be taking my dog for a walk around the block. It might be doing some push-ups and body weight squats at home. I mean, it has to be something. But every day, no matter what, I have to physically move. And my mantra is I have to break a sweat. Somehow, some way, some shape, some form. I have to move enough that I break a sweat. Now, I don't overthink it. Like if I'm extra busy with work and responsibilities and chores and blah, 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 then maybe my daily exercise is literally just put on my sneakers, take the dog for a walk around the block. Maybe that's the daily exercise. If I've got more time and I really want to push myself, then hey, maybe the daily exercise is to go to the gym and I'm going to do a full-on weight training workout. You know, if I'm too busy for that, but I still want to get some strength training, maybe it's going to be a little body weight or circuit routine at home. You know, maybe some dumbbells or resistance bands, something simple, right? Again, could be going for a bicycle ride, but I have to do some form of daily exercise. In addition to that, with the nutrition, I have to get protein and veggies with each meal. That's one of my non-negotiable habits. And by focusing on these little tiny things, like in the moment, it doesn't make a difference, right? Like that's the neat thing about this, or the kicker about this is in the moment, like today, if you exercise or you don't exercise, you're still going to look the same tomorrow. If you eat healthy today or you eat like shit today, you're still going to look the same tomorrow. Like it doesn't make a difference in the moment, right? If you smoke a cigarette today or you don't, you're not going to have cancer tomorrow, right? Like it doesn't happen that quick, but it compounds over time. So like day after day after day, if you make better decisions and better choices more often than not, then those better decisions and better choices are going to compound over the long term. If you make more bad decisions and bad choices when it comes to fitness and nutrition and lifestyle, it's going to compound, right? So it's like a balancing act. Like it's like weighing a scale. Like, are you doing more good things than bad? Or are you doing more bad things than good? That's going to determine where you go over the long term. Because in the moment, it's too soon to see any noticeable change, right? Like say you could go to the gym, you could work out for 2 hours, you could follow the perfect, squeakiest clean diet, you could take all your supplements and you could go to bed early and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to wake up tomorrow morning and you're going to look exactly the same. Like you're not going to see or feel any difference in the short term. But compound that over the course of several weeks, several months, several years, that's when it really starts to compound. Like zoom out, and that's where you're going to see the massive difference. And like over the course of a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, the person who lives the healthy lifestyle, right, they're going to be in a totally different place compared to the person who's constantly making those poor choices. And this is something I really see when I run into people that I went to school with, like back in high school days. Like in high school, you're all young and, you know, nobody's had a chance to let the weight creep up with them to any major degree, right? But you see, like over the course of say 20 years, like if somebody's exercising and eating healthy and making better choices over the course of say 20 years, and then someone else is making poor choices over the course of 20 years, like that's the person who's obese and this is the person who's lean and fit, and everyone's looking at him like, what the heck is he doing? Right? Like that's the difference. And it's just these little tiny in the moment decisions compounded over time. So if you're struggling with this, like you're really struggling and you're wondering like, how is that person who's in shape all the time, like, oh, they must be doing something crazy. Like I can't do what they're doing. Oh, that's not realistic for me. I can't, whatever. And you got all these self-doubts and these limiting beliefs. All it is little tiny decisions, the in the moment decisions compounded over time. And you can start doing this yourself. Just think very small and very short term. Like, what are you going to eat for your next meal? What are you going to do today in terms of exercise or activity? Right? It's small, small, small. Like start off ridiculously small and just start building that positive momentum. And what you're going to find is the more often you make those better decisions, then the better you're going to feel about yourself. And slowly but surely, it's going to start to compound. So again, you're not going to notice anything over the course of a few days, maybe not even notice much over the course of a few weeks, but over the course of a few months, and then over the course of 6 months, and then over the course of a year, it's going to make a massive difference. Like, just imagine you took somebody and they never smoked a cigarette in their life, and then you say, well, you know what, smoke a pack of cigarettes every day for the next year. Like, you know, in the moment, other than some short-term coughing or whatever, they might not notice any negative health benefits. Like they could go to the doctor and get tested and get their blood work done and everything else, and everything will probably show up fine. But over the course of a year, and then 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, like you would see the difference versus a non-smoker versus someone who smoked consistently for the, you know, the long term. The same thing applies when it comes to health and fitness, right? In the short term, nothing happens, right? It does happen, but it's so small you don't notice it, right? You don't notice the changes, but it is happening very small and very subtle, but it compounds day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And that's what you need to think of. You need to think of this as a lifestyle and not just some short-term quick fix. And this is the biggest problem that people run into when it comes to fitness and nutrition. And part of it is the whole fitness industry, because a lot of companies are trying to sell that quick fix solution because they want to sell people what they want. Like everybody wants to lose weight, you know, quickly and rapidly, and, you know, and hey, you know, lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks and look amazing on the beach, right? Like everyone wants this quick fix solution. And you see this like New Year's resolution, right? January 1st, the gym is packed. Everyone's in there working out like madmen. By February 1st, right, half of those people are dropped off. By March, they're all dropped off except for the hardcore regulars, and who are the ones who are going to the gym the rest of the year. Like, you see this over and over again. Everyone wants some rapid results in the short term, but it doesn't work that way, right? You have to commit to it for the long term. And to really reinforce this, just focus on those small action steps that you can take in the moment, and make a habit of doing those small action steps. And if you do that, then slowly but surely the progress is going to show. And once you start building up that little bit of momentum, then it's going to fuel your motivation. Like, let's just say you started eating better and exercising every day, and you just focused on that. And then, of course, nothing's going to happen, but you just do it on your own. Just do it anyway. And then, maybe a few months go by and someone's going to say, hey, you look a little different. What are you doing? All right. Maybe 6 months go by and people are going to say, gee, have you lost weight? Like, what's going on? And a year goes by and people say, what the heck happened to you? Like, that's how it happens. And then once you start getting that little bit of external reinforcement, then your motivation is going to fly, right? It's going to just start to blaze like a forest fire. And when that happens, then you're going to want to keep going. But in that initial phase, you kind of have to just rely on habit, routine, and some willpower to get that momentum going. But once it starts to happen, then it will just progress from there. And eventually, you could be that person who, several years down the road, you're that fit, lean, healthy, athletic person who people are looking at and like, what the heck are you doing? Right? Like, why are you lean and I'm fat? Like, what's on the go? How did you do it? And it's not that it was anything special or miracle, like it wasn't some magic formula supplement program or some magic macro split or, this super duper fasted cardio program where your heart rate is at a certain range, blah, blah. Like, none of that shit matters. It's consistency. It's being good enough, but good enough consistently over the long term. That's what leads to real world results. And that's what we cover in the whole Muscle After 40 Blueprint coaching program. I mean, yes, we do have training programs and nutrition plans and all that kind of stuff that are sustainable and geared towards making progress. But the biggest thing, it's not the program. It's this thing up here, right? It's reprogramming your mindset, your psychology, and your belief systems so that you start to do the right things automatically without conscious effort or willpower. That's the secret. Because like anybody can go on some crazy crash diet and burn themselves out working out like a madman in the gym for the short term. And the problem with that is it actually does work in the short term. But if you're burning the candle at both ends and you're suffering it out, like you can only sustain that for so long before you just get to your wit's end and you say, well, I don't want to suffer it out anymore. Like I'm sick and tired of being exhausted. I'm sick and tired and fed up of being hungry and irritable and hangry all the time. And once you start to feel that, then you're going to give in to those temptations, give in to the cravings. And once you give in, then it's just like, and you just blew everything. And now you're back to square one, right? Back to the old habits. The weight's going to come back even faster than ever. And then you'll be more frustrated and pissed off. And then that reinforces the belief that, hey, I can't do this, right? I must have bad genetics. I must have a slow metabolism. Like, poor me, I suck. Whatever the self-talk that you tell yourself. Because you're setting yourself up for failure by trying to do too much too soon and burning yourself out in the process. Whereas if you go at a manageable pace and you don't have a deadline in mind and you don't have that fixation on the goal and you just focus on the habits, then slowly but surely those habits are going to change. They're going to change you. You're going to change your lifestyle and you're going to see the progress. It's almost like, imagine trying to drive your car with pedal to the metal all the time, or just driving around at the speed limit. Like, imagine you got in your car and you pulled out of the driveway and you only had two speeds. There was either stop, meaning you're not doing anything, or foot flat to the floor and hold it there. That's your only two speeds. That's the way most people approach a fitness and nutrition program, right? Is either there's no fitness and nutrition program, like I'm eating whatever the heck I want and I'm not exercising, not doing anything, or foot to the floor, flat out. Now imagine trying to drive your car holding your foot to the floor. Like, it's not going to last very long before you crash and burn. Like, you cannot sustain pedal to the metal. Even the top race car drivers in the world do not sustain pedal to the metal, right? Yeah, they got pedal to the metal on the straightaways, but when they're going through those challenging turns and twists and maneuvering the car around, there's a lot of brake and there's a lot of throttle manipulation. There's a lot of other variables that come into play. You have to be able to scale it back in order to sustain it long term. Same thing with your fitness and nutrition program. You have to be able to modulate it and have a sustainable approach. It can't be flat out. It just has to be good enough, but good enough consistently. If you drive around at the speed limit, you can drive around all day, right? And have no problems. If you try and drive around with your foot to the floor, you're going to crash and burn very quickly, right? It cannot be sustained. So you have to have that sustainable built into your program. It has to be good enough, but good enough consistently. And it has to be set up so that you actually enjoy the process, so that it doesn't create another source of stress in your life. You've already got enough stress going on as it is. You don't need to make fitness and nutrition another source of stress. If it's done properly, it should actually be a source of stress relief. And that's what it is for me, right? Like at the end of the day, I know a lot of people, they reach for the bottle, they reach for the junk food, they reach for recreational drugs to relieve their stress. I reach for my sneakers and I get out and I exercise. That's my stress relief. Like I just got my brain rewired. Like when I'm feeling stressed, I got to put on my sneakers and I got to exercise. That's my instant stress relief, right? Works better than the bottle, works better than a smoke or a snort or whatever, and it's healthy. There's no side effects. Well, there are side effects, but they're good side effects, meaning I get healthier, leaner, fitter, and more athletic, right? That's my drug of choice when it comes to stress relief, whereas unfortunately a lot of people, they reach for the alcohol or the cigarettes or the junk food or the television or the recreational drugs or whatever, and that's their outlet for stress relief, right? Two different outlets, and they both work in the short term, but one has much better effects in the long term. So you need to make the choices that have the better effects long term if you want to make this a sustainable part of your lifestyle. So to quickly recap, if you're struggling with this, you're struggling with the whole belief system and all that, thinking, you know what, I can't do this. You know, I know other people can do it, but I can't because I tried and I failed and everything else. It's because you're taking the wrong approach, and chances are you're probably trying to do too much too soon and burning yourself out in the process. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough, but good enough consistently. And slow, steady progress over the long term will compound into sustainable change over time. So, well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Podcast. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the podcast, and if you know someone who could benefit from today's episode, please feel free to share it with them. I mean, if you could help us to spread the word, that's going to help to get this message out there and allow us to create more content like this and reach more people and just create that positive impact all around. And if you would like some help with your own fitness goals, you know, maybe it's building muscle, losing fat, improving your health, getting in your best shape. If you would like some help with that, then feel free to reach out to me. I have my contact information down in the show notes below, and you can book in for a free one-on-one strategy session coaching call with me, and we can discuss a realistic action plan that's right for you. And if I feel that you're a good fit, I may invite you to come on board and join our VIP coaching program. And if it's not a good fit and I feel that I'm not the right person to help you, then I'm not going to give you hype or BS, but I will point you in the right direction to somebody who can help you. I mean, I've got a large network of people in the fitness industry, so if I don't feel that you're a good fit for our coaching program or that I can help you, I'll be able to point you in the right direction to somebody who can. So either way, at the end of your free strategy session coaching call, you'll walk away with better insights on what you need to do next in order to reach your health and fitness goals. So that clues it up for today's episode, and we'll be back again next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time with another episode of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Podcast. Take care, over and out.